Ladies and gentlemen, let me get dressed here. I need to put my shirt on. This is kind of an impromptu video. Although I started the notes for this video after watching Bobby Powell's video on the Molly Tibbets death. And having read about Molly Tibbets to a small degree, one can only come to the conclusion that it was a very sad day for her family and friends, and America in general, because what do you say to someone when their child dies? There's not much to say. I don't think there's anything that you could say to a parent when their child dies. Now, I myself was slashed open with a razor knife when I was 15 years old, and my brother was stabbed twice on the same night. They didn't try to rob us. They didn't try to take our money. We had Christmas presents and bags. They didn't try to take any of that. They just wanted to kill a couple of people. So they stabbed my brother in the lung and in the kidney, and my back was slashed open. And although the hospital was it was not 1,000 feet away. Peninsula General Hospital on Linden Boulevard in Brooklyn, on the edge of borderline of Brooklyn and Queens, and I was in Times Square stores. So I remember watching my parents when I died on the table, and I rose up out of my body. So me personally, because of that event, it changed my life, in that I don't believe in death as is discussed in, so many philosophies believe that life after death, you either go to heaven or hell. I don't believe in any of that nonsense. I believe the spirit itself continues on into an infinite amount of possibilities. So as far as Molly Tibbets having been killed and murdered, more precise, according to the charges against this fellow Rivera, I don't actually believe that she's dead, but the physical body has certainly left this realm of consciousness. Now, when I was stabbed to death or slashed and I lost, within 3 minutes, the police were there, and the man put his hand around my back. And if someone asks, I'll show you the scar on my back from when I was 15. Within 3 minutes, the police grabbed me, put me on his lap. The man was probably, he was a big police officer. Saved my life. Clamped up the wound, which was about 7.5 or 8 inches wide, and straight down to my rib cage. And I was in the hospital in 5 minutes from the time my back was slashed. Like I said, it was 1,000 feet, less than 1,000 feet away. Dr. Sirota, S-I-R-O-T-A, was the physician on duty at the time, and he's the one that stitched me back up. But during the course of the time that I was dead, D-O-A, pretty much, I discovered that there is life after death. Now, can I prove that to you? I don't need to prove it to you. I know it's a reality. So, in as far as Molly Tibbets and now, which is why I'm doing this live stream on the cuff. Okay, I had some notes about Molly Tibbets and karma and irony, the word irony, which I'm going to put in the description box. I had some notes from a few days ago when they found out that she was murdered, but I left it alone. But once I heard that John McCAIN has now passed into the next realm of existence, whatever that is for him, and I firmly believe that he's not dead. Okay, he made his physical body is dead, and from the 3 videos that I watched this morning, and I read about 250 comments, I didn't find any that were. I didn't find a comment of 250 comments that I read saying that the world is not a better place because of his passing. I mean, every single video I watched is about the things that people believed he did was in fact an injustice to the once great country of America. So it seems to be the consensus is that they're happy that John McCAIN died. That seems to be the consensus of 250 comments and 3 individual videos. One from Bobby Powell. No, not from Bobby Powell. I forget. Bobby Powell's video was about Molly Tibbets. So without getting involved, let me go through my notes. And then if you have any questions, feel free to ask. And if someone wants to see the scar on my back, I'll show it to you. It's not an operation. It was a slash with a razor knife. So one of the notes that I made in regards to Molly Tibbets is cross-reference to something called the motorcycle helmet law in Florida. Now, I have to digress to when I died. I understand that there's a spiritual reality that exists within our reality, but is not visible to the average human being. So this stuff is going to go right over the heads of people that have this narrow-minded vision that when you die, something, someone, or some God is going to judge you and either put you in heaven or hell or purgatory. From my point of view, that's just a load of nonsense. There's nothing real about any of that, because when I died, I went before a council of men behind large wooden benches. Now, that's what I call them, the council. They interviewed me, asked me why, what I would do, because did I want to die was basically the main question. And I said no. And they said, why? I said, because my mother and father are standing over in the corner and they're pretty upset. I don't want to do that to them. So they said, well, what will you do for us? And I said, well, basically, I'll do anything you want. This was at the end of a long conversation, although I was only dead for maybe a minute or 2 minutes, physically dead, where they were doing all the stuff that they do to get your heart pumping again. When I said anything you want, I was back in my body. But before that, I said, well, what is it that you want me to do? And they said, well, when the time comes, you'll know what it is that you should do. So between the age of 15 and now, I have done what I think is part of what they want me to do in exposing the powers that be that actually truly run this world. We're not talking about governments. We're talking about powers and principalities that basically have a home base of the Vatican, the square mile of London, and the United States military complex and or government. So I have exposed that in my book, Angels on the Ark. And at that point, I figured my life was over once I wrote that book. But apparently, they just saw fit that if I could discover their secrets on the dollar bill, they gave me like a free pass. So, okay, so we're going to digress. So I go before this council who tells me, what will you do? I tell it, I'll do anything that you want me to do. And basically, I've revealed this information to thousands of people in my lifetime. Plus, I have, after I had gotten stabbed, I went into studying Hatha yoga, tantric yoga, Zen Buddhist meditation, many different philosophies and religions from everywhere, from Queens Community College to St. John's University. I studied under Kevin, who was a professor there, and Kevin invited me to his home to do home study to tell him what I knew about the East Orient philosophies, which would take many, many months. So we're not going to get involved with that. We're going to digress back to Molly Tibbets and the word karma, and then because I actually believe that Molly Tibbets' death was beneficial in that it proves the existence of karma. And as a byproduct, it proves the existence of irony in motion or action. Now, you're going to think that I'm just some crazy guy on YouTube, but when you look at the definition of karma, and I'll put it there, and then you look at the definition of irony, you can't come to any other conclusion that Molly Tibbets' death was a karmic balance being played out. And the irony of it, I'll read to you what irony means. Thank you, Robert. He says it's interesting stuff. But I'll read to you the definition of irony and karma. So irony is the expression of one's meaning by language that normally signifies the opposite. So in other words, if a person says that the sun is a beautiful thing, well, the irony of it would mean that the sun is actually ugly, which it's not. Now, irony is also typically for humorous or empathic. Where are we? Well, yeah, I didn't put this in a Word document. Okay, empathic, right there. Let's go to the end. Hold on a minute. Darn. Typically for empathic, have to just add a. Okay. The expression irony is the expression of one's meaning by using language that is normally signifies the opposite, typically for humorous or emphatic effect. Okay, so the irony of Molly Tibbets' death is that she, in 2017, through her, what's the name of that? Her account on Twitter, through her Twitter account, she tweeted that she hated white people, and through other. That's a pretty big statement, that a white girl who was murdered by an illegal immigrant, she tweeted that she hated white people and she believed in open borders or something to that effect, where everybody has the right to live in America. So she also tweeted that she believed that we should accept as many people as possible into America, and did not believe in illegal immigration or the stopping of illegal immigration. So the irony of that scenario, where she was murdered by an illegal immigrant, is that she didn't believe that we should have borders and a wall, and that all immigrants from all countries should be welcome into America. And the irony is that an illegal immigrant that she wanted to come to the country, not Rivera himself, Christian Rivera himself, but she wanted illegal immigration to be justified, and then the irony is that an illegal immigrant killed her. But a better understanding of what happened to Molly is a karmic debt. Okay, now karma, to those of you who believe in karma, is not so easy to understand. Okay, karma means that if you have wrong thought or negative emotions, that those emotions or wrong thoughts will come back to you. So I'll read you the Sanskrit translation of karma. Okay, karma means action. So action is pretty simple. That it means to do something. Now, karma means action, work, or deed. Okay, so in that respect, Molly's karma is her deed or influence to allow illegal immigration. It also refers, moving on to the next segment of the of the definition, it also refers, karma also refers to the spiritual principle of cause and effect, where intent and actions of the individual influence the future of that individual. So I'm gonna post this. I'm gonna post this right now onto the in the chat window so you can read it. It's a Wikipedia definition, so I am allowed to post this. So you have to be careful what you post on YouTube because some things are copyrighted, but Wikipedia is free for all. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to write down the definition of the word karma, and then we're going to talk about karma in a much more detailed aspect of karma, and I'm going to prove to you that it actually does exist. Now, you are going to find this hard to believe, but I lived through this in the state of Florida. Okay, so here we are. The first segment of karma. I have to copy it down in two parts because it's too long. Okay, so here we are. Here's the first part about karma. And then I'm going to talk about the Florida helmet law, which is another aspect of karma. Okay, so I think I'll get it all in one if I eliminate this Wikipedia information. Let's see. 196 of 200. I think I got it. Okay. So there is the definition of the word karma. Now, to people that believe in karma, there's no way to justify or prove that karma doesn't exist. Okay. Now, Molly Tibbets fulfilled her karmic destiny in that she brought attention to two things. One thing she brought attention to was the liberal mentality to allow illegal immigration to exist in America. She brought all this attention to it. And the way she brought all this attention to it is by agreeing that illegal immigration should not exist, that everybody has the right to come to America. But the karmic debt she paid for people that believed her liberal philosophy is that because she believed that all of these people that came to America illegally should be legalized, the karmic debt she paid is that one of these illegals murdered her. Now, you, the average viewer on YouTube, the average person in this world, is just not going to accept that, because unless they have seen karma in cause and effect in their own life, and more specifically instant karma, then you're not going to understand the philosophy of the Orient, which is tens of thousands of years old. But the belief of right and wrong and karmic debt and good and evil pretty much coincide with one another. I mean, where certain philosophers said that you're supposed to be good so that bad things don't happen to you. I don't know. I don't believe in heaven and hell. Never did. Not since I was stabbed. But I don't know how to make you understand that karma is probably a more powerful entity than heaven and hell. And when you die, your possible futures, as Pink Floyd would say, or possible futures past, because time is irrelevant in the spiritual world. When you die, that karmic bank account that you built up while you were alive is going to be looked upon not by God, not by any kind of judgment deity, but by a force that I call the universal consciousness. And I don't know if they justify putting you into your next life, because I believe in life after death, or you have a choice. There's two philosophies about that. When you die, you can review a future life and the possibility of, let's say you were going to be born again to John and Rosemary. Okay, you can review your entire life from birth till death, and then you can choose that life, or you could be born to another couple called John and Jane. Okay, that's a different life. And you could review that life. Okay, but with the understanding that you have free will and determination, some of the things in that life that you review can be changed. So if you think you're strong enough to change those things in your future life, you can choose one that you think is possible to change. Some things, some obstacles are not going to be able to be overcome, and you'll choose a lesser or less harder lifestyle. But then you might have to come back on a reincarnation level several more times. Some people choose a really hard karmic destiny, and they think that they can overcome it. And then at the end of those trials and tribulations, supposedly you move to a higher plane of consciousness that we call Buddha consciousness or Christ consciousness or God consciousness. Not necessary to go through all that nonsense, but that's the dogma involved with getting to a spiritual plane of consciousness that rises above your physical plane of consciousness. So Mali caused a certain amount of karmic death and hardship to people of America that believe in the United States Constitution and the laws and rules of the United States Constitution, in that you have to come to America legally or don't come at all. So because she portrayed the liberal philosophy, she believed that everybody gets a free pass. That would be, from a karmic level, the price she paid by being murdered, supposedly. Of course, this is all accusations at this point. But by being murdered by an illegal immigrant, she paid her karmic debt. But at the same time, she made people aware of illegal immigration and one of the negative connotations that goes with illegal immigration is that statistics say that 5,000 American citizens have been murdered by illegal immigrants in the year 2016. Now, some of those people could have been illegal immigrants also, but 5,000 people were murdered, according to the FBI statistics, by illegal immigrants alone. In some places, the prison population is 85% illegal immigrants. Some places it's only 40, but most places it's a minimum of 30% of all prisons in America are now holding illegal immigrants. So because Mali decided to go against the grain of the Constitution and portray freedoms for illegal immigration, her karmic debt was to be murdered by an illegal immigrant. Now, another example that I'm going to give you right off the bat about karma, and this was instant karma. This was instant karma. This was instant karma in the state of Florida. When I moved, I don't ride a motorcycle. I never rode a motorcycle. I did it for a couple of hours, 50 to 100 hours. I borrowed one of my family's motorcycles. I'm not a motorcyclist. I'm not a biker. I never belonged to any bike clubs, but I rode thousands of hours on dirt bikes and mini bikes, and like a mini Honda 70. I had a Bonanza 100 with a Bonanza motorcycle with a Hodaka 100cc 5-speed transmission when I was 13 years old. So I have thousands of hours riding on trails, but at no time did I ever wear a helmet. But then when I moved to Florida, I started hanging out with a couple of men, just like 3 men that rode bikes, and there was always a party at the house on Friday or Saturday night, or we had one in my yard. I even had the Black Pistons from South Florida have parties in my backyard, sometimes as many as 150 bikers and their girlfriends. And at that point, the motorcycle helmet law in 2001 was they pretty much wanted you to at least put your helmet on your elbow. Now, I like I said, I never rode a motorcycle. But at some point after the time of the party started, and I don't remember the woman's name. I could probably look it up. You could probably look it up. But the Florida motorcycle helmet law, and this is where the instant karma comes in, was revised by a woman who had a son who was a motorcyclist. Now, when the Florida helmet law changed from mandatory helmet wearing and to helmets were optional. It changed at midnight of a certain day. Like I said, this is from memory, but it changed at midnight on a certain day. And at about 6 o'clock in the morning, the woman who processed the bill to get the bill passed for the no helmet law, the woman who processed and wanted that law to pass had a son who was riding a motorcycle 6 hours after the bill passed with no helmet and got into an accident that had he had a helmet on, he would have lived. It wasn't a severe accident, but his head hit something hard and cracked his skull open and died instantly. That is karma. So people that don't believe in karma, I can't make you understand that it's real, but you should understand that it's real. So Molly's karmic debt, because she professed to have illegal immigrants come into the country with no boundaries and no rules of no law. Everybody is welcome in America. One of those people, long before she professed this ideology, came and murdered her, according to the police. Okay, so that's karma. That's not instant karma, because she posted on Twitter that she hated white people. Now you can see that tweet by putting the word Molly Tibbets hated white people, and it'll come to the date and the Twitter account of Molly Tibbets and the day she said it. I only looked at it for about 15 seconds. I'm doing all of this from memory. Now, that's not instant karma, but that's a karmic debt that she built up by professing this leftist and liberal ideology. Now, moving to the irony of it all, the irony is that she wanted illegal immigration with no borders and no boundaries, and that prior to her stating all of this, because she was only, I think, 21 years old, prior to her stating all of this, there is no borders and no boundaries, thanks to the 44th president of the United States and Mrs. Clinton, who opened up the borders to the degree where there's no more with the sanctuary cities. Don't get me started with this nonsense, because this goes on and on and on forever. And this is the reason, when I saw all these policies going into effect, when Mr. Obama started fundamentally changing America, I knew and I saw the writing on the wall and moved to the Philippines, where I live a very comfortable, very simple lifestyle. And my girlfriend and I are in the process of building a 4-story hotel. And I work when I want to work. I walk around here at night. I go to the city in the afternoon. Sometimes I'm a little bit late coming home from the city, 7 or 8 o'clock at night. It's dark. There's no problem here on the island of Bohol. We don't have murders. We don't have illegal immigration in the Philippines. See, that was one of the main reasons I moved to the Philippines. There is no such thing as illegal immigration in the Philippines. When you come to the Philippines, you apply through the Philippines consulate if you want to stay a long time and get your paperwork processed early, or you can come on a vacation visa and then change your status at the immigration office. But what I read about the Philippines is that nobody comes to the Philippines and gets on welfare. Nobody gets free food. Nobody from other countries comes to the Philippines and gets free food. Nobody comes to the Philippines and starts living on the streets. A few people did, but it doesn't work out well for them. They either get deported or they get put in a jail. If that was the case in America, see, the immigration laws in the Philippines are every 2 months you have to pay $60, 60 American dollars. You could be late, but then there's a penalty of $20. And then after a certain amount of days, the penalty goes up accordingly. Now, I've never been late. I've been late twice. Once they waived the fee because just out of the kindness of the heart, the immigration officers waived the fee. And the second time I read, it was quite simple. I read the date on my due date wrong. So it was my fault, and I was 1 day late, and I paid 33% of it's a $60 fee, and I paid a $20 late fee. Then it wasn't an issue. The people that have just processed my passport, but it could be an issue. If it happens too many times, they can actually physically deport you for just being a few days late, whether you pay the fees or not. So I like the immigration laws in the Philippines. I like the way they treated people that came to the Philippines legally, and that I liked the way that the laws work, where if you're poor or broke or destitute and you come from a foreign country, they send you back. Because in my opinion, the Philippines is going to be the next best thing to America and might even transcend America's greatness one day. And the way they're going to do that is by keeping out poverty from what we call first world countries. Nobody's going to come to the Philippines and get on welfare. You can forget that. And if you're broke and destitute and you don't have a passport or up-to-date stamps, you can go to jail. Now, chances are, if you're not, I don't know much about this, but chances are you could call the consulate, the American consulate, and get a free ride home. But you might spend 6 months or a year in jail, or if you're lucky, they might just put you on a plane and send you home. But there's no welfare in the Philippines. There's no illegal immigration in the Philippines. Before I moved to the Philippines, I also entertained the thought of moving to Australia. But their rules of immigration back in 2009, when I did my research, where you had to show that you made 50,000 American dollars a year and that you could afford to live in that country for several years if you lost your job. And you had to still maintain a $50,000 a year salary after you moved to Australia. Of course, none of that exists anymore because of their ridiculous open borders policy. But I decided that the Philippines was the best option for me. Not having a lot of money left after the collapse of the economy and losing 3 properties, Philippines was what worked best for me. So, moving or digressing back to Molly Tibbets, she believed in open border policy and free welfare for everybody and no judicial practices against illegal immigration. Her karmic debt was paid at the cost of her life. No one's going to justify her murder. No one's going to be able to justify her murder to her mother. If the whole world changed because of Molly Tibbets' death and somehow Mr. Trump, and I use those words loosely, somehow Mr. Trump finally put his act together and built the border wall and stopped illegal immigration and stopped this nonsense of what's going on where a regular city judge can stop the president of the United States. I don't know much about law, but that stuff needs to stop, okay? And he needs to do that before the midterm elections, or he's going to get wiped out in the midterm elections. They will try to impeach him, or they will impeach him. And if he does get impeached, he already knows what the outcome of the midterms are going to be. You can rest assured that statistics are telling him where they're going. I think 8% of some states, as much as 8%, was voter fraud. Well, Mr. Trump needs to stop voter fraud. How he can do that, I don't know. They say it's illegal to put an ICE agent in every voting booth, but that would stop it. But they keep coming up with these judges that are local judges stopping the president of the United States. So our immigration laws in America, and I still consider myself an American citizen, are a joke. So karma, I define irony. And now the reason for this impromptu video is because John McCAIN died. Now, there is an expression, only the good die young. Well, nowhere in the vernacular of the United States English language does only the good die young is more fitting than in John McCAIN's death, because he lived to be 81 years old. And according to the 3 videos I watched and I read 250 comments, and I didn't come across even one comment feeling sad for John McCAIN. I read that some of these narrow-minded Christians or religious fanatics believe that God is going to sort it out. And I got news for you. God isn't going to sort out anything, okay? There is no God per se. There is good and evil. There is right and wrong. There is yin and yang. But there is no deity, no fictional God up in the sky that's going to judge you. So John McCain's destiny was his destiny from birth. All the things that he did was his path in life. Whether it was predetermined, fate, or destiny, I don't know. But I know that I've seen fate and destiny and predetermination in my life. Okay, the fact that I was slashed open and died on the operating table made me aware of the spiritual aspect of the universe and how to transcend the physical consciousness through meditation. Had I not been stabbed, I would be just like the other schleps of this world with no understanding of karma and or the true spiritual nature of the universe. Now, I'm a little bit of a tough guy when it comes to, let's say you show up for work late, a minute late. I make an agreement with you when I hire you. Don't come to work late. If you come to work 1 second after 8 o'clock, I send you home for the day. If you come to work twice late in 1 week, I fire you. I don't care. So I'm a little bit of a tough guy when it comes to working with people because I made an agreement with those people and they broke the agreement. But in the beginning, the agreement was so simple. Don't come to work late. I don't want to have to guess if I have 15 men coming to work. I don't want to have to guess who's going to be here at 8 o'clock. I want you to show up 15 minutes early so I can discuss the day's job, the scope of the job that I'm going to put you on. Okay. And I tell people, show up to work at 6:45. Don't show up at 10 seconds after 7 o'clock, because by that time I'm already hyped up, getting ready to give the men their job description for the day. I had Johnny Mac and Jimmy, the big Jimmy Hardbody. We'll just call him Jimmy Hardbody. I don't want to mention his name. Those 2 guys could dig holes faster than anybody else and load containers with rocks and boards with nails on them. They'd bang the nails down. They'd move the boards. They'd put the boards in a container. I'd have 20 cubic yards of lumber from an old bulkhead because they banged down every nail flush with the lumber. Jimmy and Johnny were my ground men that made my posts and holes. Okay. Now, I had other men that came along afterwards and put the sonotubes on the holes. And they didn't mix the concrete. They just set the sonotubes up to the height that I wanted them for the future posts in the deck. And then I had other men that were only routing lumber for the deck. I used to route all my lumber crown up, king crown up, and all 4 king crown up for the beams that I put in, or the joists, and crown up for the decking. On the rails of the 2x4s and 2x6s, all 8 sides of a board got routed. So I had a crew for routing. But if I had to come at 7 o'clock, I had 3 men that didn't show up. I had to rearrange the schedule depending on tomorrow's schedule. So I believe their karmic debt, to me, I gave them a job so they could buy food. Daisy, close the door, please. I gave them a job so that they could buy food for their family, shoes, clothes, beers, smokes, whatever they want. I gave them a job so they could fulfill their needs. But I told them, if you come late, you go home for the day. Second time in 1 week, you lose your job. And I kept my word. So my karmic debt to them was to be honest with them and pay their salary at the end of the week. And their karma, if they got fired, it was their karma. That's not my fault that your wife is going to come to the job this afternoon and beg me for your job, because I don't need to hear your wife's problems. It's your problem for showing up late. So I believe in karma. Now, when I didn't do the job on time, I paid a penalty. Could be $100 a day. It's in the contract. This job is going to be done by July 1st, so you can set your yard up with your pool to have a party on July 4th. I don't get it done, could be $500 a day. I never missed a deadline. I did once. I had pneumonia. I had to hire some guy named Michael. He was a better carpenter than most people. I hired him, but he was $300 a day, where I was paying carpenters $125 a day. Got the job done on time, pretty much, and he smoothed out between me and the customer, but he was the only job I ever didn't fulfill my agreement with. So my karma was that I had to pay Michael $300 a day, and I lost money on the job. So, and I ate it like a man. That's just it. I lost. It didn't work out for me. Lots of jobs I didn't make money, or as much as I wanted to. So you have to understand, I believe in karma, and I accept the karma that I create for myself. So with John McCAIN, that man, 250 comments, not a person in the world says anything good about him except these do-good Christians. And I don't like that, because by telling people that you must believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and the fulfillment of heaven, hell, and purgatory afterlife, it allows people in this world to do anything they want, and they'll deal with it in the afterlife. And what's even a further ignorant, one of the most dumbest things I've ever heard in my life, is confession before death, and all your sins are forgiven. This is ridiculous to believe in this nonsense. Some people call it the spaghetti monster. So you have this news, relatively new news of pedophilia, child molestation, and child rape, and also the priests having sex with other men, and the other men were somehow coerced into the bed of priests in Pennsylvania. You have 300 priests and 1,000 cases of child molestation, child rape. I think there was even a murder involved somehow, but I'm only going from memory, so don't hold me to it. So now you got to, let's just say 300 priests committed 1,000 pedophilia crimes, rape crimes, or child molestation crimes. Let's say those 300 priests did that. And now they are caught. So all they have to do is walk into a confessional booth, and some other priest that knew what was going on for the last 30 years tells them to do 10 Hail Marys and an Our Father, and they're forgiven. This is stupid. This is a barbaric system. This system is made to perpetuate itself. When I was a kid, one of the priests were accused of child molestation. They sent him to, it was either Colombia or Guatemala. No one ever heard from him again, except somebody said he was in Guatemala or Colombia or one of those South American countries for molesting a bunch of people, including 2 of my friends. So this is ridiculous that the Catholic Church can somehow wave a wand and justify, okay, priest, you raped 6 or 7-year-old altar boys or 10-year-old altar boys, and you ruined their life forever, and you say you're sorry, and here you go, say 10 Hail Marys and an Our Father. How stupid is this concept? Yet, it's prevalent in today's world. Karma is a much better philosophy. If you don't do something wrong, you don't have to justify it to yourself when you die. Because I believe pretty much you get to judge yourself. Now, John McCAIN, if there was a karmic, if there was a right and wrong, because that's another aspect of spirituality, right and wrong is a concept. It's a construct. It doesn't have anything to do with the true spiritual nature of the universe. I'm telling you, not only do I believe it, I understand it to be true. Can't prove it to you. Don't even want to try to prove it to you. But if you moved up to what we know as the Christ consciousness, you would portray right and wrong, good and evil, to make people do what you believed was right and wrong. But right and wrong, when you move to those higher planes of spiritual consciousness, have nothing to do with man's laws or even the church's laws. So John McCAIN caused enough bad karma by the, according to the videos I watched, tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people were betrayed by John McCAIN, and some of them died. So what is his karmic debt? What is his karmic debt? I don't know, because I'm not him. But I wouldn't want to be him. Okay? But in the same sense, this ridiculous nonsense of the Catholic Church waving this wand over your head just moments before death and giving you absolution of sin is ridiculous. It's totally stupid. It's one of the most worthless concepts I have ever encountered in my whole life. How does some priest who understands that pedophilia, child molestation, and child rape exists in his community and doesn't do anything about it, 300 priests molesting 1,000 people, including full-grown men, and nobody, not one of these priests came forward? The whole of the Catholic Church is corrupt. It always was. When I was a little boy, 7, 8 years old, 9 years old, we used to climb up on the rectory where the nuns cohabitated. It was the second floor. It was to the left of Our Lady of Grace Church in Queens. And we would climb up the wall by climbing on the cage on the windows on the first floor and then scooting over to the second floor and then walking around on the second, on a smaller level of the first floor, walking on top of the first floor, looking into the second floor windows. And we watched the church, the priests engaging in acts with the nuns. We watched that as a child. We watched the nuns and the priests engaging in sexual activity. No, nothing could take that out of my mind, because the first person I ever watched in life have sex was a priest and a nun in a common area in the nunnery. They didn't have separate rooms. It was like a dorm. And everybody knew what was going on. But no one says anything about this. So the first person I saw have sex was a nun and a priest. I didn't even see my mother and father have sex from the time I was born that I remember. I never remember seeing my mother and father have sex. They always did it behind closed doors. But the nun and the priest, that left a lasting memory. So these people are totally, they totally go against every rule of their supposed oath of celibacy. So how do you expect the church to give you absolution if they themselves are criminals in their own orders of existence? So now I'm gonna review some of the comments, because I need water first of all, and I'll review some of the comments. I haven't set foot in a church since I was broke in 1976, and I asked the church for food. Even after being a good, I went to, I had my communion, and I had my, the next thing you do when you're 16 years old, you become consummated or something like that. I had that, and I always went to church up until like I was 17 or 18 when I just couldn't afford to give them anything anymore. And when I asked the priest that knew me since I was 5 years old for food, he told me no. I never went back to church since that day. I never put a dime in the basket. Okay, so I'm going to read the comments. I'm going to start back up at the top. I'll get to you, Travis, in a minute. Okay, Robert Stendhal, interesting stuff. It's mind control. It's all mind control. Everything that you see and read is mind control. Until you move on to a level of consciousness where you can see beyond the veil, so to speak, nobody's going to make you understand anything. You move into that level of consciousness for a minute, 15 minutes, in my case, 3 months on several different occasions. You move to those higher planes of consciousness. You can look at a book on a shelf and tell the person what's on page. You could read the paragraph of, you could read the first paragraph on page 74 without even taking the book off the shelf. You could go to a public library. Somebody says, what's on page 13? What's the first 2 sentences of the first paragraph on page 13? You close your eyes and you could read the paragraph in your head, and they open up to that. They open that book up to page 13, and the words you read are the words that are on page 13. You never saw the book. You never touched the book. You never knew about the book. You don't even know the title of the book. They just pointed to that book and asked you what's on page 13, the first 2 sentences, and you close your eyes and you come to the conclusion that these so-called words are on this page. That's the superconsciousness that Christ and Buddha and many, many other masters, probably Shakespeare, probably Plato, probably many other people that you read about in ancient history, probably they moved to those levels of consciousness. The same with Mozart and other child prodigies. They see things in their mind that other people can't even comprehend. Okay, so Robert Schindel says, I'm very interesting. Thank you. Okay, Robert Schindel. See, now Robert Schindel said something. We are born again every day. That's true. But each day you have the opportunity to change your life for the better or for the worse. Okay? But on a karmic level, everything you do is new. Your choice is always in front of you. Your past has nothing to do with your future. Unless, of course, you're being hunted by the law. In that case, well, you know, that's a personal problem. Okay. Gobo Lobo. No, I don't miss you. I found out some information about you, Bobo. Someone said your name is Larry. A guy left me a message saying that your name is Larry. You're not in the Philippines. And he, this is not my words, but these are his words. He said, you're a total Dutch bag. Robert Schindel says, you're the God. Okay, so Robert Schindel has a basic understanding or a full understanding of the Eastern philosophies. In your universe, Robert Schindel is correct. You are the God, the creator of your destiny. Okay, so, but you cannot understand this to be a truth until you move to a higher plane of consciousness. Now, either Robert Schindel does a lot of reading and retains information and states these concepts as being truisms, or Roger Kendall has experienced what we call cosmic consciousness or universal consciousness. I don't know which, but he said that I am God, but he also knows that he is God, and he also knows that you are God. Same as John McCAIN is God. He did these things because he created his destiny. Molly Tibbets was God. She created her destiny. Okay? The destiny for Molly Tibbets probably was really negative from a parent's point of view, but she created her destiny and fulfilled her karmic debt to society. This is the same karma as the woman who passed the no helmet law in Florida, and 6 hours after the no helmet law in Florida went into effect, her son was pronounced dead from a small motorcycle accident that would have been prevented by helmets, but he didn't have a helmet on. That's instant karma. Okay, so Frosty, I am a conservative Republican and happy that John McCAIN finally died. Well, Frosty, I read 250 comments, the same connotations. I have not read a comment where people aren't happy that that man died. Okay, I have not read, except like I said, these religious zealots with their narrow-minded point of view that God is somehow going to sort it out. God isn't going to sort out anything because there, as God per se, it's nothing more than a fictitious, embedded lie implanted into your head from birth by the elite that know there is no God, and they keep you in check and checkmate with this good and evil, right and wrong nonsense, because they don't abide by any of these rules. John McCAIN didn't abide by any rules at all. Everything that man did, from the perspective of the 250 comments I read this morning, was evil. Everything that everybody said in the comments was that John McCAIN was an evil human being. Again, digressing back to right and wrong, good and evil. If evil existed, John McCAIN was the incarnation of evil. So, okay, Frosty, thanks for the message. Yeah, Frosty said that he goes to the Catholic Church with his Filipino wife, and all they didn't do was promote illegal. They promote illegal immigrants for a specific reason, if that's what he's talking about. The Catholic Church is the main promoter of illegal immigration because they, by subsidiaries of the Catholic Church, they own many of the facilities that house the illegal immigrants and give them things for free. They give them lawyers' services. And that's all subsidized by the American government. The Catholic Church and the American government are the same thing at the top end of the... I've proved that in my book, Angels on the Ark, where I don't like to digress, but I'm going to say it. Angels on the Ark is the most prophetic book. Angels on the Ark by Michael Fazio is the most prophetic book in the course of the 20th century and 21st century, because I started writing it back in the 70s. There is no book anywhere in the world that is more prophetic than Michael Fazio's book, aka Angels on the Ark, and you can see that by clicking the link on my homepage. I proved beyond any doubt that the Catholic Church runs America. I proved it, okay? I should be either dead or the most famous person in the world, more popular than Steven Spielberg or Vladimir Putin. I proved the United States government is run by the Catholic Church. I did that. I did that. I did it with the help of spiritual entities. Some people call them jinns, other people call them angels, but I did it. They used me as a focal point to bring this information to the world. You people that think you can prove me wrong, I will wager you any amount of money that you can afford to lose, and I'll vet you over the phone and via Skype. I will vet you, and if I think you have the money and you could put it in an account, and I'll give you the rules and regulations for the wager, I will wager you whatever you think you can lose or afford to lose, because you can't win this argument. There is no single person, no entities, no organization on earth that can prove me wrong. That's how well I proved that the Catholic Church runs America, in conjunction with the Yale Skull and Bones, which is the Bank of England, and the American war machine, which is represented on the dollar bill as the owl, the great horned owl. And the Skull and Bones Society is represented from a physical skull and bones on the dollar bill. Google skull and bones on the dollar bill, and you will only come to one person making videos about the skull and bones on the dollar bill. There's 10,000 or 1,000,000 people that make videos, and I am the only person that had the cayons, the itlogs, the boys to put that information in the public venue. Why? Because I don't care if they kill me. I never cared if they were going to kill me, and I'm never going to care if they kill me, because I don't believe in that nonsense. I believe you live for a finite period of time, and your day comes when your day is ready to come. You ain't changing anything about your future when it comes to the end of your existence on this plane of consciousness. Don't ever think you can change that, because that's not possible. NL reverse speech. Sorry for being late. It's prevalent because there is no or almost no love for truth and its consequences. There is none. Proof that there is no place for truth anymore on the internet is my video selection. Okay? I put out a video last week, a really nice video about how to rebuild an oil filter. Okay? Every single, you know how many views it got in the first 15 hours? It got 30 views. I got to remember, I have 30,000 subscribers, and a video I posted got 30 views, with 20,000 subscribers on Google and YouTube. I had a video that got 30 views. The next day, I put out a different part of the same series. It got 79 views. This is a physical impossibility, but because of my religious and political beliefs and the fact that the entire system is corrupt, and the fact that I made 15 John McCAIN videos that were censored from day one. I had 12,000 subscribers, 15,000 subscribers. My John McCAIN videos would get 62 views, 72 views, 80 views. That's impossible. Some of my videos got 500 views. I come back and look at them today, the John McCAIN videos, 12 views. It went from 500 views to 12 views. It was about the NDAA bill. And I have it posted on Patreon with all my videos that YouTube doesn't deem politically correct anymore. Thank you, sweetheart. Smells good. Want to say hello? Daisy made liver with cabbage, white rice, salt and pepper, and we're going to try that right now. I love Daisy. We'll take a break from this political nonsense. I'll talk about Daisy. Okay. This morning, Daisy took a shirt that had straps over the top and cut the straps off and made like a tube top. Okay, because the straps made her hot. Okay. But I have never asked Daisy to go out and do laundry. If there's laundry to do, Daisy does it. And if it's the big sheets and stuff like that and the pillows, I help her with that. I do the dishes, she cooks, she cleans, I cook, I clean. We have never had to ask anybody or each other to do any of the chores. We just do the chores. Sometimes I ask for assistance, and sometimes Daisy asks for assistance, but very rarely. I can't remember a time in 2.5 years where I had to ask Daisy to make food. When food is necessary to be made, she makes it. When it's necessary to be made and I feel like cooking, I make it. We're starting to have a very comfortable relationship.
Forgot to put psyllium.
It's okay. It's delicious the way it is. The psyllium, I put the psyllium later. So So this is my definition of a good woman in the Philippines. Now, the one problem that we do have, it's an ongoing problem that you people might be interested in. I'm not done yet, honey.
Oh,
okay. The one problem that we have, and this is something that I'm sure all of you people that have Filipino girlfriends have. It was about 2.5 years ago when I met Daisy. We started working on equipment. And I taught Daisy that there are two types of screwdrivers. One is a flathead screwdriver, and one is, what's the name of the other one? Do you remember? The two star screwdriver. That's right. Tell them star and flat. Yeah. Well, sometimes when I ask Daisy, this is a big point of contention in our relationship. Sometimes when I ask Daisy for a flathead screwdriver, she gives me the star screwdriver. And I just, you know, I'm almost ready to break up our relationship over this screwdriver thing. But then I said, screw it. No pun intended. Daisy's ace is in my book. Okay? Yeah. That's our idea of kissing. So, all right, let me have one more bite. Because this is basically my breakfast here. We put a lot of cabbage in our food for the roughage. It doesn't matter if we're having spaghetti with garlic and oil like last night, cabbage, or sayote, a vegetable. We mix a lot of vegetables. We mix at least, if there's a 1/4 kilo of meat and onions and rice, we'll put 1/2 kilo of vegetables in with that. So we double the amount of weight of the food with vegetables, and it keeps everything flowing smooth as pie. No pun intended. Now, this is excellent. Honey, you take that. Thank you. Okay, so going back. Frank Frosty got the news from me. Believe me, if I wasn't afraid of losing my channel, I'd give you the news. I went easy on John McCAIN. I don't think I went so easy on Molly Tibbets because I haven't heard anybody put down Molly Tibbets' point of view. They expressed Molly Tibbets' love of illegal immigration and the fact that Molly Tibbets, you Google this, Molly Tibbets hates white people tweet. You Google that, you're going to find it on the internet. I have a problem with that, but I don't have any animosity towards her. I'm kind of glad that what she did came back to hit her in the butt, because it made people aware of the fact that America can't keep taking illegal immigrants, and that 5,000, now there are a lot of websites saying that 5,000 murders were committed by illegal immigrants last year, the year 2016, by illegal immigrants. I mean, that's 5,000 too many. I come to the Philippines, believe me when I tell you that they would not allow that to happen. Mr. Duterte, in all of his wisdom, wouldn't allow, if he saw a trend of foreigners killing Filipinos, I don't think he would allow that to happen 10 times before he said, everybody out. Okay? Everybody out. That would be the end of foreigners in the Philippines. Now, I'm a foreigner in the Philippines, and I agree with Mr. Duterte's policies for the most part. I see the man. I wish that Mr. Duterte could control America's immigration policies for about 3 to 4 months with Mr. Duterte's ability to get things done his way. Okay? And I got news for you. in 6 months, the wall would be built and the illegal immigration policy in America would be a thing of the past. Now, maybe the wall would take a little more than 6 months, but nobody would be wanting to come to America. After Mr. Duterte would solve this illegal immigration thing in a short work for him. Short work. He would just say, illegal immigrants going to jail until we can get you on a plane to put you back in your country. If you committed a crime, illegal immigrants are going to build the prisons that you're going to live in. Mr. Duterte does not fool around with politics. So if Trump, and I don't know why Trump hasn't done this, if Trump doesn't get serious about this illegal immigration voter fraud that's coming up in November, because it's going to happen. It's already proven that in some states, I think 8,000 illegal voters were 8,000 dead people, or 8,000 votes were counted twice, maybe. A lot of them from most of them from illegal immigrants, according to what I remember. Okay, if Trump doesn't put an end to this, then he is the swamp, allowing the Democrats to take over the House and the Senate and giving him an impeachment order. He goes back to his regular lifestyle of the rich and famous. He doesn't care about you. He doesn't care about me. And if Trump made up $10 billion from all of these new laws and tax cuts that I don't know anything about that stuff. Okay, but if he made $10 billion and put America back on the production line and people back in, manufacturing jobs, well, then he got paid for doing something that was beneficial for America. But if he doesn't clear this illegal immigration policy up and putting people, ICE agents or other police officers, checking ID at the voter ID booths, and he allows the Democrats to take over all of these institutions, governorship, whatever they are, if he allows it, then that was the plan from day one. That was the plan from day one. There was nothing in politics that doesn't happen that hasn't been predetermined. And I don't care what anybody says. I had family and friends in politics, and the people that I'm talking about, when I'm done in America, for my final trip to America, I'm going to start posting videos about the real workings of politics in America. And I'm going to start naming names and giving you the links for the people in the political venues that I talk about. And I'm going to get the quotes that I have documented, of what those people said about various things that occurred in America. And now, years later, they have been proven that they were outright, undisputable lies, bold-faced lies, but I can't do that just yet. Once I start doing the news, I'm going to start to expose some really creepy people in the political venue. But until I'm done in America, it would probably be for my best interest to keep that on a low-profile, need-to-know basis. And when I say need to know, if I have a Patreon member that I trust and that has been vetted through my vetting process, then I can discuss politics with somebody in an open-air venue. But I can't do it here. I won't do it here. I'm not going to do it here. Okay? And when I say I vet you, I vet you. Okay? So don't think that people go, I'm going to come and visit you. You ain't coming and visiting me without me getting a copy of your driver's license, your home address, and me being able to verify that you are who you are. Come and visit me under any other circumstances than that, probably just going to tell you to go away. But I'm not going to go out to dinner with you. I don't have time for that nonsense. And talking about dinners, Moose Cage and Danny Gordon, the Super Chat dinners I was supposed to make for you last week, I screwed up. I went to a restaurant, and before tasting the hamburger, I said, this is Mein Buntag, Dominic. Mein Buntag. I went to the restaurant stating that there was the best hamburger in Bohol, and it was not the best hamburger in Bohol. Unfortunately, the first dinner I went to at this restaurant, I asked for a rare steak. I asked for, and the steak came rare. Okay. Now, the thing that's a little bit upsetting about the first restaurant, it was supposed to be, it was a free dinner from the owner. So to get me to say thank you for some videos I made of his wedding and so on and so forth. But what happened was they gave me, in essence, they gave me 2,500 pesos worth of free food. And I just couldn't accept that. So I gave the wait staff and the kitchen staff, there were 10 people. I gave them 1,000 pesos, which is the equivalent of 100 pesos per person, and or 100 pesos per person, and they make 35 pesos an hour. So I gave them 2.5 hours wages as a tip. And the second time I went back to the restaurant, I asked for medium rare or rare hamburger, and it got cooked medium to well done. I wasn't happy about that. So the video I made for Danny Gordon had to be scrapped. I don't want to do a voiceover. I'll go back to the restaurant. It wasn't the best hamburger I ever ate in Bohol, and it's not going to be displayed as the best hamburger. It's going to be portrayed in the video as a great hamburger for a good price. But as far as being the best hamburger in Bohol, if you want the best hamburger in Bohol, you need to go to the Outback Steakhouse. Okay? It's just that simple. It's 500 pesos for the deluxe cheeseburger, no fries. You pay another 180 pesos for a stack of onion rings about that high, and there's where you're going to get the best hamburger in Bohol. At the Brothers Barn Resto, you're going to get a great hamburger for under 300 pesos, $6 as opposed to $10. You cannot complain about this $6 hamburger. It was excellent, but it wasn't the best. And keeping it real, we're going to go back and I'm going to get that thing medium rare to rare. I want blood to be coming out of it. And if I don't get it like that, that's the only way that I choose to eat a hamburger. That's how I eat my meat, medium rare to rare. All right, so let's go back to the comments. I always tell you the truth. So nobody is ever going to go to the Brothers and think that that's the best hamburger. It's a great hamburger for a great price. But the best hamburger in Bohol, if you want to know, is at the Outback Bar and Grill in Alona Beach. Side issue, but it's my live stream and it's my channel. So if I feel like, okay, so if I feel like digressing or progressing or devolving into another topic, I just do it. Some people think I'm waiting for some jerk to ask me if I have ADHD. Basically, I'm just a hyper individual, which 2 people said this morning. I called up 2 of my Patreon members on Facebook. They called me on Facebook. And the wife said to Daisy in her language, and Daisy went hyper. I'm hyper. I had 2.5 cups of coffee 4 hours ago. That'll keep me going until 10 o'clock tonight. I'm a hyper individual. Plus living clean and straight. We have 1 shot or sometimes 2 shots of alcohol to put us to sleep at night because of my coffee intake in the morning. And that's the extent of my drinking. I smoke a few cigarettes a day because I like to. What can I say? No one lives forever, baby. That's the truth. Better learn to live with that because no one, as Pink Floyd said, no one gets out alive. And no one knows when that time is coming. You might as well try to enjoy a few things in moderation. So, thanks, Hoodwink. I got the news from you. You're welcome. Travis Hund. Good riddance. McCAIN was a warmongering piece of fecal tissue, but not using those words. And he was. He never saw a war that he didn't like. He always voted for every aspect of war. All of his investments were in the war machine. John McCain just loved war. War, in essence, equals death. Or, in essence, equals money to be made in the war machine. But the money to be made in the war machine comes from death. Okay? Me personally, I don't believe in war. But I do believe in protecting one's own property. Now, what you got to understand about all of these leaders, Trump, Obama, McCain, Feinstein, all of them, Putin, the Pope. The Pope has billions of dollars, not millions, billions of dollars invested into the American war machine, into war products through subsidiaries of the Catholic Church. Billions of dollars. They make billions of dollars from wars. The same with the banking system, which is supposed to be run by the Jesuits or the Jews. I don't know about any of that stuff. I just take pot shots at this stuff. You know, I'm not so smart, you know. But these people are they're creating wars to make money. I'm going to digress with John McCain. Okay. I'm going to go back into the war machine and John McCain. What you think of war as an airplane dropping a bomb on a foreign country. You don't understand the basic premise of war is machinery. And the machinery has to be created by other people that own machining companies that build the machines, that build the tools of war. But before the machines that build the machines for the tools of war are built, somebody has to build the machines that build the machines that build the machines to build the tools of war. And those machines that build the machines that build the machines of war need oil. And the people that own the oil companies get contracts to sell the oil to the people that build the machines that build the machines that build the machines for the tools of war. But more importantly, somebody has to deliver the oil to the companies that build the machines that build the machines that build the machines for war. And those trucks and delivery systems and or platforms for delivery are owned by other people that get the contracts to deliver the parts and the oil and the final products to build the machines that build the machines that build the machines for war. And those companies are owned by subsidiaries of the Catholic Church, including the companies that make the paint that goes onto the machines that build the machines that build the machines for war. And aside from the paint that goes on the machines that builds the machines that builds the machines for war, are other products that associate themselves with the machines, like electrical wiring that goes into the building of the machines that build the machines that build the machines for war. And all of these companies that build the machines that build the machines that build the machines from war are supplied by other companies that are owned by subsidiaries of John McCain, his portfolio, Nancy, whatever her name is, Pelosi, Dick Cheney, George Bush, George W. Bush Sr., Al Gore. All of these people have investments into the machines, into the products that supply the machines that build the machines that build the machines for war. And John McCain was no novice when it comes to building owning stocks and bonds. You might not be able to find it in a public portfolio, but you can rest assured that John McCain had a big investment into the machines that deliver the parts and paints and byproducts that build the machines that build the machines for war. That's why John McCain never met a war that he didn't like. And John McCain's father was an admiral or something like that. What do admirals do? They run battleships or aircraft carriers. Everything about John McCain was a fraudulent. Every good thing that was ever said about John McCain was fraudulent from the get-go. Bobby Powell, nice guy, too nice. But Bobby Powell made a video about John McCain and shows you about 50 clips from where I got up to, and it's a long video, 20 minutes. Shows you about 50 clips of congressmen and politicians and people of wealth and power that just hated John McCain. They hated him. They hated everything about him. They hated the fact that when he fired a missile on some aircraft carrier, several dozen people died, I think. That's been all covered up. People hate John McCain across the board. And yet, John McCain was the deciding vote in the American politics because people are stupid. They believe all this rhetoric and nonsense. And he was a warmongering piece of fecal tissue. According to every single comment I read this morning, more than 250 comments on 3 videos. Nobody liked him. Okay, I'm going to show Travis Hunn's comment. I pressed show. Okay. Okay, so now, now where do we go? Well, it went down a few pages. Boy, I'm falling short here. Okay, here we're getting close. Yeah, nobody likes the Vatican either. Okay, nobody likes the Vatican, nobody likes John McCain, and yet these two powers, and they're powers and principalities that just can't be done away with. And Trump isn't even trying. If you should vote for Michael Fazio 2020, forget the vice president garbage. I'll take care of the whole situation. You might not like it, but 10 years from now, you'll thank me for it. I would, if I became president of the United States of America, and I deserve to be president of the United States of America, you people think that I'm making this stuff up. You should have somebody like me in the White House, or Trump should be asking me for advice and then taking my advice. But if I was voted president of the United States of America, I would ask Mr. Duterte to be my vice president and confidant. And you think I'm kidding? That man has a way with words. By telling the Vatican to go sit on it and that they're full of fecal tissue, you gotta love this guy. You just gotta love this guy, Duterte. So it would be Fazio Duterte 2020. And I would take his advice because he knows more about politics than me, how to get things done. The man is a man's man. I'll tell you that right now. Okay, I found my place. Frosty's is happy about John McCain's demise as Ted Kennedy. Yeah, but these people live forever. They live much too long. They cause much too much pain in the world. There should be a much shorter version of their lifespan, in my opinion. Carl Reynolds, thank you. Moose. Okay, Moose, evening. I hope you're here. I mentioned, didn't get to your super chat dinner, Moose. I'm set back because I made a mistake in a video. I said it was the best hamburger where I went, and that was a Danny Gordon super chat because he was before you. Man, I made a mistake. I should have eaten the hamburger and done the review. I screwed up. I will not eat another meal without eating the meal before I do the review because I screwed up on that review. So good morning or good evening, Moose. Moose, please don't give me another super chat. I really mean it, Moose. I'm dead serious about this. Moose did two $20 super chats. That's ridiculous. Okay? Don't do it again. I don't want, I can't, maybe I can't eat another super chat dinner. I can only do one a week. And it'll be 3 weeks before I'm ready for another one. I'm sure somebody else will be generous enough to do a super chat. But please, Moose, thank you for the super chat. You just didn't get to it. And I apologize. I did send you a message in through Patreon. I'm sure that you've gotten it by now. Okay. Lechenberg. Okay. Jonathan Clockwork is a fraud from the get-go. You can tell him I said so. Okay. He is, I gave him the opportunity to portray my truths and my discoveries, and he flat out turned them down. Me and him different in so many different ways. Jonathan Clock is he's in it for the money. That's all he's in it for. He's a fraud from the get-go. Okay? You can tell him I said so. I don't care what you think about him. He has a limited understanding of a lot of things and no understanding of anything in full or in. He talks about his spiritual abilities with these pictures that he draws. He's a good artist, but before that comes the fecal tissue before the artist. Okay, I don't agree. I've watched a lot of his videos. I remember on 11/11/11, Jonathan Kleck, the world was going to end. The Hoover Dam was going to explode. I made a video saying it wasn't going to happen. Everybody came to my channel critiquing my video, and that Jonathan Kleck was some kind of God amongst men on YouTube, and nothing happened, and there was no real apology for it. I mean, for all the people he caused, the agony he caused in people's lives, getting in their camper vans and running around and leaving the area that the Hoover Dam was going to flood over and kill and cause tidal waves down the river and downstream for the tens of millions of dollars in the people's lives that he disrupted. And he said, I'm sorry. That just doesn't cut it. There was no reason for the 11/11/11 prophecy that the Hoover Dam was going to be destroyed other than self-satisfaction and self-recognition for views. So you can tell Jonathan Kleck, I never liked his videos. I never liked his points of views. And his drawings are at best childish, in my opinion. I don't care that he isn't even the person that discovered the World Trade Centers per se on the dollar bill. It was, I think I read and saw a video before that. I could be wrong about that, but it's such a childish portrayal of the truth. He bases his truth on some pictographs that he does show you on the dollar bill, but doesn't back it up with anything except speculation and theory. Okay, my pictographs, you go to my homepage, you look at my homepage video, my pictographs are on the dollar bill, and then I wrote a book, and you read the book, and it shows you where the pictographs are portrayed in the Bible, because the King James Bible and the dollar bill were created by the same entities, and they associate with themselves with one another through a codices in the Bible. So, and a codices in pictography on the dollar bill. So don't you ever compare me with Jonathan Kleck. Thank you. I know you didn't do it on purpose. I know you didn't do it to be mean. But when you say if people are interested in the Luciferic Catholic Vatican, Jonathan Kleck does this for clicks. Okay? That's all he ever did this for. Okay? There's a lot of things about Jonathan Kleck that I won't talk about. But I talked with him on the phone. I told him about my discoveries. And he said he's not interested. Why? I don't know why. I could only speculate as to why. But I have nothing to do with him. Haven't watched one of his videos in 3 or 4 years. Didn't even know he was still alive until you left that message. So I don't really appreciate anything that he's ever done. Nothing that he's ever done has ever benefited anybody. And it's all speculation. There's no proofs. From up until the time I watched his videos, there's no real solid proof. I provide you with solid proof. that the Vatican controls America. But he could have taken my videos and rolled with it, that the skull and bones on the dollar bill and the owl on that. He never took any of my ideas or tried to steal any of my concepts. But we could have been working in conjunction with one another. But he's a very selfish individual that wanted all the glory for himself. God bless Jonathan Clay. Robert Schindel, I don't know what teaching you want me to be doing. I did an oil filter installation how-to video. I posted it about 6 hours ago, 4 hours ago. Mr. Reverse, yeah, I look better with Daisy next to me. Daisy's a sweetheart. I love Daisy. She brightens up my day. I sit there and look at Daisy and I say, she's a good girl. She's a good woman by every definition of the word, except for that she doesn't know the difference between a regular screwdriver and a Phillips head screwdriver. She still gets those two things mixed up, like ballot time. Probably, I don't know. Maybe there's a solution to that. Maybe I could tattoo it on her forearm. Regular screwdriver, Phillips screwdriver. Because I asked for a regular screwdriver yesterday. She handed me a Phillips screwdriver. And I went, what are you doing? And she had the other one in her hand because she forgot. She took both of them. See, that's why I love Daisy. She thought ahead, but she didn't know which was which. Amazing. All right, so now I'm going to go up a page here, apparently. Wow, 2 pages. Okay. Yeah, now Intrepid. Now he brings up a good point. Listen, you know what? An illegal let's go back to illegal immigration because that's a good topic. You know what an illegal immigrant costs the American taxpayers? $1 million for every single illegal immigrant in America over the course of 20 years in America. That's what it costs the taxpayer. Cash, out-of-pocket expenses, $1 million. I'll give you the breakdown of an illegal immigrant from Cuba. Family of 4. Each illegal immigrant, say they get over here by boat, illegally by boat. Each illegal immigrant receives $13,000 cash money the day they arrive from Cuba. They go into a Chrome Detention Center in South Florida. They get a full medical and dental. Any problems medically or dentally, they get fixed. If they have to go into a hospital for an operation, they have the operation. If they're having a baby, they get all of that for free. So right off the bat, they're getting several $1,000s in medical and dental expenses. Then the United States mafia, government, finds them an apartment, a Section 8 house that the government pays for outright. And then each of those 4 family members receives $13,500 over the course of the next 6 months. The first payment is given the day they move into their apartment. They also have a bank account established for them at a local bank, and the local bank, a $6,750 check is deposited in the local bank for all 4 family members. So you have $27,000 the first week. 4 illegal immigrants from Cuba are brought into the Chrome Detention Center, or 2 weeks, however long they're there. I watched it happen. I know ICE agents in Florida. So $27,000 is given to the family of 4, mother, father, 2 children. Now they are given a license, a driver's license. They are given a Section 8 housing, and they are giving electric and water for their Section 8 housing for 6 months, free. Everything is free. They can take that $6,750 and put it towards furniture, clothing, sneakers, whatever else they need. So now they got $27,000 to get started. 6 months later, they get another $27,000 from the United States Mafia. Okay, and the Section 8 housing never stops. Now, immediately upon entering into their house, they get food stamps, which they can say they lost or were robbed, and they get another set of food stamps for, say, $400 or $500 a month, whatever the government was giving them. At the time, it was $400 a month in food stamps, and electric and water is free now. Okay, so you can buy $400 back in the year 2000. This is in the year 2000 now. That's not today's money. And then they get free education forever for their children. They get free lunches in school. They, after 6 months is up, they go on to the welfare dole until they can get a job. And they get another $3,850 for each adult. That's what they get for their welfare check. Do you understand what I just said? They get $3,850 for their welfare check, each adult. They're collecting almost $7,500 a month for two people that came to America 6 months ago, broke and destitute. They're collecting almost $7,500 a month, plus food stamps, plus Section 8 housing, plus free medical, plus free food for the children in school. This is crazy. But over the course of 20 years, it costs each illegal immigrant, if they're born here, by the time that illegal immigrant is 20 years old, if they use all the resources possible for them, it costs $1 million per illegal immigrant. If you don't think there's something... Now, a regular working man like myself, let's just say I had a job. Let's say I had a job as a carpenter. And let's say my wages were $30 an hour. Okay, in my whole lifetime, 30 years, 20 years, let's say my 20-year retirement, in your 20-year retirement, you're not going to collect $1 million in wages. Your base pay or your gross on your check might say $2,750, but your income is going to be $1,000 a week. Not going to be $2,700 between taxes and federal and ID and union wages and all that other crap. Okay, you're going to get about $1,200 out of $2,700. Times that by 50, that's $60,000 a year. 10 years is $600,000. You got to work for 17 years to collect $1 million. And they get it for free. The day they get here, they collect $1 million in 20 years. All of them. Mexicans, Latin Americans, Southeast Asians, Africans from Somalia, they're all getting $1 million in free benefits over the next 20 years. How is this sustainable that these idiots in politics can't see that Clinton basically bankrupted the Social Security, where he borrowed $1 trillion from Social Security, never paid back a penny? They're raping you. I paid squat into Social Security my whole life. Nothing. As an independent businessman, I had a choice. I paid squat, and now I can't collect Social Security. That's okay. But they would have robbed it from me anyway, because within 2 years, Social Security is going bankrupt. And all of these people, getting back to Intrepid 456, Intrepid 456, they're raping the world. They're raping the American public, and Trump is allowing it to happen. Every day, another 1,000 come into the country. Every day, another 1,000 come into the country. And over the next 20 years, those 1,000 cost 1,000 millions. That's $1 billion every day in welfare that's entering the country. It's not costing us $1 billion today, But over 20 years, it's $1 billion for every 1,000 refugees that come into the country tomorrow and use every aspect of the welfare system. Every single immigrant that comes into America costs $1 million. And let's just say someone whittles down these numbers. Let's say someone says, oh, it's only 800,000. No, it's not only 800,000. It's 800,000 gone and 800,000 that has to be replaced. So it's really 1.7 million, or 1 million that's gone and 1 million that has to be replaced. So every welfare recipient that comes into the country costs $2 million over the next 20 years. And you people think this is allowable and acceptable and possible? For how many more? They're destroying America. That's why I moved to the Philippines. You people are dumber than rocks. You can't do simple math. Thank you, 456. I needed that little energy boost. I get off on this stuff. I got to tell you, I get off the adrenaline that runs through my body when somebody makes a statement where I just went through what I went through. Everything I just told you. $1 million for every illegal immigrant that comes into America over the next 20 years. $1 million spent and $1 million has to be made up. And in 20 years, no American that I grew up with in a blue-collar job is going to collect $1 million in wages. So whatever I don't know where all the money comes from, but it certainly doesn't come from taxpayers. Oh, that's right. They just borrow a few trillion in advance on your great-grandchildren's debt. The whole system sucks. You people are being screwed left, right, and up the middle. You people just don't get it. Yeah, share the music. The whole criminal system is just sucks. The whole criminal system is corrupt, from Trump down to the local politicians, the mayors that have sanctuary cities. The whole thing is corrupt. I actually tried. I didn't fill out the paperwork to become president in 2012, but nobody, and I would have been a better president than the 44th POTUS by far. Believe me, without knowing anything about politics, I would have been a better president than Clinton and Obama and probably Trump, because I wouldn't allow this stuff that's going on. They could probably try to impeach me for firing Jeff Sessions. I don't care. That guy would be history a long time ago. Freedom of speech, my buttocks. He's not going after anybody who really is corrupt. Jeff Sessions is doing nothing except allowing people to go after Trump. Make it fair and equal and balanced. Jeez. You people that are commenting, I'm way up here in the top, so you can comment. I'm going to try to get to them now. Reverse speech, the wall, to keep everyone from leaving when the going gets tough. I think you're talking about I think you're talking about duck hunting in the up against the wall. Yep. Okay. Sweet on B. Not easy for foreigners to stay in the Philippines. Not if they don't have any money, sweet on B. Boone. Intrepid wants to work for me for free when he makes another $1 million. Okay. I don't think that's going to happen. But thanks for the grandiose concept. Okay, now I got to find where you are. Okay. Oh boy. Man, this chat window thing showed me that. Okay, all right, here we are. Okay, Intrepid. Okay, I grew up in South Texas. Intrepid 456. I hadn't seen the stuff coming 24. I hadn't seen the stuff coming 20 years before the rest of the USA. Yeah, that happened. Okay, well, I saw the writing on the wall, and I knew I was leaving in 2008 when the foreigner got elected as president. Okay, you make a statement, Intrepid B, but you don't leave a reference to a name. It's hard for me to follow. Either say, I bet so, he's a magnet. I don't know who a magnet is. Okay, you really need to put your whole thought process in there. Good morning, Anthony. Completely disinterested. Good morning. Okay, I'm going to bypass a lot of these messages because if I can't figure out who the message is portraying, or if it's pertinent, Intrepid 456, I stole food in the cafeteria out of hunger. I think he's trying to justify stealing. Stealing to eat is a pretty good justification. If you're stealing because you're starving to death and you're stealing food, I don't really have much of a problem with that. Intrepid says they shouldn't even get a chance to vote. They say our vote should count 10 times. But then you got these liberal, the whole concept of liberalism. If they're still Americans, their votes would count 10 times. They need to make voter fraud zero tolerance for voter fraud. They need zero tolerance on voter fraud. They need zero tolerance on voter fraud. You go to a voting booth, you have proper identification, you get registered, they take a picture, not who you voted for, but you take your identification and it's copied and that you voted, you're right, and you can't vote twice. You should have voter ID that does not allow you to vote twice. These people are going around on buses. You got these worthless newscasters saying that some people voted twice. That's the biggest crock of crap in the world. Some of these people went from one voting booth to another on buses all day from 7 o'clock in the morning till 8 or 10 o'clock at night. That's all they did all day was go from one bus. That's ridiculous. Some people voted 8 and 10 times. This liberal policy that goes on in America is ridiculous. Connie Ford, he's another member of my Patreon account. True legend, he calls me. Nobody said it better than you, Connie. Thank you. I am a legend. I'm not just a legend in my own mind. I went back to high school. I guess it was in the 1990s, maybe 93, before I moved to Florida, which was in 95. But before I went on my world class, my United States tour, I think I went to my old high school, maybe 1991 and 1992. Every teacher remembered me, even though it was 18 years later. Every teacher, 20 I graduated in 73. Every teacher remembered me. As soon as I said Michael Fazio, oh yeah, I remember you. Every one of them. No, it wasn't a single teacher. And I remembered all my teachers because I loved learning. I loved high school. I loved my teachers. I don't think there was a teacher I didn't like in high school. Well, I went to a quasi-military high school, aviation high school in Long Island City. So, in fact, I am a true legend. The men that worked for me, they hated me, but they remember me because I was the smartest person that they ever worked for. I would teach them stuff in a few weeks or months that they'd worked for me, that they were in the contracting or carpentry business for 20 years. And no one would take the time to teach them anything. They kept them dumb and stupid. I wanted my men to learn. I wanted them to learn how to do carpentry and how to plan out a job. I would sit down in the morning with a set of plans and go over and tell them this is why we're doing this. And some of them, I even taught how to operate a ruler. Some people didn't know what those little lines were for. I'm not kidding either. Lachenberg, the wars are to kill the best and the brightest. Yeah, well, your grandfather in Texas was a Grand Master of the Masons and Knights Templar. Fazio gets freaked out on the Masonic stuff. Ha ha. I don't get freaked out. They're a bunch of hypocrites. The Masons are hypocrites. I could do a whole show on Masons. I could do a whole show on the quality of the individual that I met as Masons. You know, maybe they're a better quality than the average person on YouTube, but I haven't met one that was an honest human being yet, and I knew a lot of them. Every Mason I ever met always wanted to slip it in my buttocks, and when I was doing a job for them, they all lied to get the job done at a better price. They would all tell you, "Don't worry about this job. This job you're going to do. You know, you're going to give me a good price, but we're going to get you the job to put the septic tank in at the hall." It's a bunch of baloney. We're all a bunch of liars. I would tell them, they would come and say, you cut this tree down for me, and I'll get you a nice job doing a septic tank next door. And I'd say, sure, you give me $3,500 to take the tree down. And then when I get the job next door, thank you very much. Because it's a $5,000 tree job, by the way. And they would say, well, we're brothers. Yeah, okay, we're brothers. So then pay me. They're all a bunch of sanctimonious hypocrites. Don't tell me about Masons. Please don't tell me about Masons. I can't even tell you what I did to one of them that had me do 2 days of research. I'd probably go to jail if I admitted it and he pressed charges. Yeah, the worst war for America was Vietnam, Intrepid 456. Okay, see, now that's a good point. But Vietnam was not a war. It never was a war. I don't care how they justify it. If the words say it's a war, if the words say it was a conflict, it's all lies. Vietnam happened for one reason. It only happened for one reason. Between the time of Korea and them getting involved in Vietnam, they built up the war machine and had thousands of toys, war machine toys that they needed to test. Vietnam was a testing ground for war tools, period. Had no other purpose in life. There's nothing in Vietnam that we want. There's nothing in Vietnam that we stopped. There's nothing in Vietnam that changed because of our participation in Vietnam. And there was no other reason other than to test out toys, war toys, that are just now becoming public. Could you imagine what they have now? Vietnam was not a war. Vietnam was a Toy Story for the powers that be. Okay, we're going to skip down a little bit here. Anthony Bruno, we live to work, to die, to learn. The ones that don't live, don't do that. Okay, let me read that again because I'm having trouble with that one. We live to work. No comma or anything like that. Maybe, okay, we live to work, to die, to learn. The ones that don't live, don't do that. After a minute, it makes sense, but damn, did anybody ever hear of commas and apostrophes? All right. Mark 88, Mark 86. Mike, did you go to South Shore High School in Howard Beach? I lived a block over. Mark 88, Mark 86. There is no South Shore High School in Howard Beach. And if there is, it got put there after 1995. So the answer is no. I never even heard of South Shore High School, period. There's a South Shore High School on South Shore in Long Island. It's not in Howard Beach. I think there's one. Okay, we're going to bypass the tranny porn comment. These intrepid, these immigrants are benefiting from USA and also countries that capitalize off USA. And the result, overpopulation, plastic in the seas, and global destruction. That's about right. Thank you. Anthony Bruno, with this religious point of view, I don't believe in any of what you're saying. The afterlife be not you or me, we are condemned. That's a bunch of happy horse shit, I gotta tell you. You make your own destiny. You can change your destiny for the better or for worse. And no fictitious spaghetti monster god up in the sky is going to change anything that happens to you when you die. It's a completely different process that you've been brainwashed to not understand. But your point of view, as long as you believe in the better rather than the worse aspects of do good and instead of doing bad, I guess religion is okay to that extent. Oh, okay, so here, amen, brother, from Greg F. Hello, Warren H. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are. Okay, there's a couple of people having a conversation about housing growth, but no housing population. I don't know anything about that, so I'm not going to comment on whether or not they're playing with the numbers. You know what I know? When I moved into Howard Beach when I was a little boy, there was about 5,000 or 7,000 people living in Howard Beach. Then they built several thousand houses, and then there was 90,000 people living in Howard Beach. That's what I know. Jack Thompson, one-legged sister. Hello, Jack. Jack's another member of my Patreon community. Thank you for that, Jack. Good day to you, my friend. God day to you, my friend, Jack. One-legged sister. You gotta give Jack Thompson credit for that YouTube name. Jack Thompson's, with an apostrophe, by the way, one-legged sister. Gotta love that. Now, no one is going to put that apostrophe in when they're looking for Jack Thompson, one-legged sister channel. But I'm sure that Google understands the missing apostrophe is not going to affect things much. But Jack Thompson with the English lit, babe. There you go. Okay, Intrepid must have heard my comments about the Masons. Personally, every Mason that I ever met was a liar. Backstabbing liar, okay? Backstabbing liar. Not only, they didn't give one flying crap about me. They wanted me to devote, God knows how many hours to teaching hand signs and the words. They wanted me to be the teacher. And I'm going, well, how much time is this going to take up? Because the man who taught me was I had to go to his house for 3, 4, 5 hours a week. Okay, so I would have to devote for each new student or member or brother, I would have to devote 2 or 3 or 4 hours a week, maybe take a group of 2 or 3, but I'd have to do this every week. I'd be 30 hours a month of my time where I didn't get anything done. Now I'm good. Well, you know, you learned the signs and the sim better than anybody. I'm going, doesn't matter. I don't have that kind of time. And and they all wanted this done for free. Okay, because all of these guys were, a lot of these guys were millionaires, lawyers and doctors and other skank professions that made millions of dollars, and now they wanted to mooch off of me because I lived in a nice house, so I had to be a multi-millionaire with nothing but time and money on my hands. There were a bunch of backstabbers. Don't ever let any. I got a cousin that thinks the Masons are the top of the top of. There were a bunch of bottom feeders. Okay, I said it. Okay, they will use you and discard you, and everybody knows that nobody ever gets to the top without doing all kinds of favors and kissing butt. You might as well just do it. The time that you devote to being a Mason, you could devote to a business and be just as successful. Okay, maybe you're not going to get all those wonderful government contracts that they promise you, but you don't owe anybody anything. Okay, that's my opinion about Masonry. The judge that sentenced my bail, okay, was a brother. I got arrested for a worthless check. I had $103,500 in a bank account in Tibb Bank in the Florida Keys. What I had, $103,000, and I had about $3,000 in another bank account. I had a check that I wrote in April of 1997 to take a test for the Florida Marine Patrol to get a haircut. So by September, I moved to another location, and the Tibb Bank that I did business with in Big Pine Key in the Florida Keys had a bank account down there. I opened up another bank account in Key Largo. So I was paying 2 bank fees. So I said, can I close my bank out? Yes, you can close it out. I said, what? I have a check that hasn't been cashed. They said, oh, don't worry, 6 months. After 6 months, you don't have to worry. The check becomes null and void. Well, either they changed the rules, or the idiot, the bitch that gave me the information, that told me don't worry, the liar, the piece of garbage, downtown Laura Brown in Key Largo branch told me, don't worry, don't worry, don't worry. You, after 6 months, it doesn't matter. Well, 8 months after I wrote the check, 2 months after I cashed the bank account, the guy cashes a check. This is in 1997. I'm going to take I took the Florida Marine Patrol test. I failed because I fell down that morning and twisted my knee. An act of God, fate and destiny, karma. It was a garbage job to begin with. Although I wanted it for the wrong reasons. So I didn't get the job. So I've taken the test to be a postal employee in 1999. And I go into the police department. I said, let me get rid of these guns. I put them under my seat. Because I forgot you have to take the guns off your person. So I go in, and with that, the secretarial staff, 3 members of the women secretaries, a man comes in after they took my ID. A man comes in, and the man sits down in the secretarial position. Now I've been in there for years, especially going through my police references to become a Florida Marine Patrol agent. I knew there was only women sitting down in that office. So another man comes in a few minutes later, and I'm sitting at the desk waiting. There's no glass. I'm sitting at the desk waiting to be serviced to get fingerprinted for the post office. So another man comes in and sits down. I says, oh, shit, I'm getting arrested today. I don't know what I did, but I'm thinking somebody in New York gave me up for something I did 15 years ago, or supposedly did 15 years ago. So I'm standing there, and I'm saying, thank God I put the guns under the seat. So the last guy, before the last guy replaces the 3rd secretary, 2 guys walk in behind me, big big guys. We're talking the biggest guys they had on duty. I don't even think they worked for Plantation Police Department. I never saw them before. And they stand behind me, and I get to the count. The third guy comes in. The secretary excuses herself, and he stands in front of the counter, and he goes, "Mr. Fazio?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "Michael Fazio, Michael Thomas?" I said, "Yep." He goes, "Please put your hands behind your back. You're under arrest." So I did. And he asked me if I had any weapons. I said, "No, but I have them in the car. I forgot to lock the car. Can you go out and lock the car for me?" So they did. And I got arrested in a police station, getting fingerprinted for the post office. The whole system took 1.5 years for them to catch up with me, but the whole system is corrupt. Okay? So the judge, digressing back to the beginning of this conversation, the judge is a brother Mason. So he recognizes me. I'm sitting in the pews. We were in the witness pews. I had 6 in the front, 6 or 7 guys in the back. We're in our orange jumpsuit, handcuffed and shackled on the ankles. And the judge says to me, "Mr. Fazio," piece of garbage that he was. You could look this up, that piece of human fecal tissue. Judge Tomey, Tomey, brother Mason. "Mr. Fazio, do you know what you've been accused of?" I said, "Yeah, I was accused." And this is like the day after I got arrested. They told me I wrote a worthless check, but I didn't. I have $103,000 in the bank. And they said no. And they came over and showed me the court records the day I wrote the check and the day I closed out the account. And I said, "Yeah, but I have I have another checking account in the same bank. Why didn't that piece of garbage that filed the fraudulent check, why did she wait 8.5 months to cash the check? Why didn't she just call me up? My telephone number's on the check. I would have paid her the late fee and the bounce check. Why did she have to have me arrested?" So they said, "Well, ignorance is no..." I said, "I didn't even know. The bank told me I could cancel my account in 6 months." And he said to me, "Ignorance is no excuse of the law," which is their son of a excuse for everything. The guy has 4,000 books available to him, law books, and doesn't know what's in any one of those books without looking at it. But ignorance is no excuse for me, who's never studied law. So he tells me, "Your bail was set at $2,500. The guy next to me didn't have any money, and he was in there for selling crack cocaine, which, by the way, Judge Tomey's wife and son were arrested the month before he's giving me my bail hearing for selling 2 ounces of cocaine. Mason's wife and whatever they call that, the Star, Eastern Star, the woman, the husband's the judge, Mason. 2 months before Judge Tomey is giving me my bail hearing, his wife and son got arrested for selling 2 ounces of coke to an undercover narcotics agent that wasn't local. So when he told me ignorance is no excuse, I said, "Well, he told me my bail was $2,500. When the guy next to me had like an arrest record for like 10 things, and he just got caught selling crack, like an 8-ball of crack to an undercover officer. His bail was set at $200. So I said, "Why is my bail set at $2,500? And this guy is a repeat offender, and he gets a $200 bail." And he goes, "Well, you own several properties in the Florida Keys, so you're a bigger flight risk." I says, "This is total bullshit. This is total bullshit. How much bail was it for your wife and your son when they got arrested for selling 2 ounces of coke to that undercover agent last month? How much bail did they put on them? I bet you they got free on their own recognizance, right? They're no flight risk, even though you're a multi-millionaire." Well, the guys pulling the chains behind me were just ecstatic, trying to get me to shut up. And I said, "How much bail did your son and wife get? Free on their own recognizance, you piece of garbage." Anyway, they pulled me down into my seat by chains. They actually pulled me down and held me down, put their hand over my mouth. because some of the guys behind me still hadn't got their bail hearing. The whole system, Masons, are a bunch of sanctimonious, backstabbing pieces of garbage. But from that day on, every time I had realized from that day on, this whole group of Masonic is all bullshit. Don't let anybody tell you any different. They're a bunch of backstabbing hypocrites. Okay. All right, so. All right, I'll let that comment go for Intrepid. That's a good comment. I'm not going to read it. Chris Alexander, I don't know how to play chess. I have no idea what that you're inferring to. I know how to play chess, but the last time I played chess was 1989, 1988, 1987. I don't remember. And I wasn't very good at it then, so I wouldn't know what that move means. Somebody said Masons are organic portholes. I don't organic portholes into some evil-based philosophy. I've never met a Mason that was an honest man. Now, you're not supposed to say that kind of crap, and I really don't give a flying crap what you're supposed to say or not. The reason that you're not supposed to call Masons dishonest or say anything negative about it is so that they can perpetuate the lie. Okay. How's my foot doing, Warren H? My foot is doing well. So, at this time, Daisy? Oh, Daisy's here. What have you been doing? Huh? No, what were you doing outside? I'm going to be ready for some more food in a little while, babe. Is there food left for me? No more? You ate it all? Good. We're cooked fresh. Okay, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, I have pretty much covered everything. I want to do politics. I actually wanted to do one more thought that I had. I forgot what it was. Did I write it down in my notes? Hold on, let me look at my notes. Okay. Ring my bell. Okay. I think I put that in the title. Ring my bell. Okay. For those of you who are subscribed to me, Google is censoring my channel to the maximum that everybody. Let's just say that there's a maximum censoring of people's channel. Well, my channel is being censored to the max. Okay. I've lost through the income of Google. Okay. Yesterday again, and the day before, I earned with 2,400 public videos and 20,000 subscribers and videos, 90,000 views a month on my videos. I'm going to earn this month on Google less than $75. I could show you the chart, but it makes no point. For my Patreon members, sometimes I make a video showing them the chart. I made less than $75 based on the last 3 days' income on YouTube and Google. So when I don't answer or respond to your comments, don't take it personal. If you're not a member of my Patreon account, or if you don't put an intelligent comment up on the chat board or in the comment section on my videos, I don't respond to it. I might give you a thumbs up. I might give you a love, but I'm not going to respond to it. I go to your channel. You have no subscribers. You have no liked videos. You have no preferred channels. And you want me to give you a 2 or 3 part response to a question that you have? Then I spend 10 or 15 minutes of my life. Can you imagine that I received 2,000 comments a month and that I responded to all of them, and let's just say they all took a minute. That's 2,000 minutes a month. When you divide that by 60, what does it come to? Okay, 10 times 60 is 600. 20 times 60 is 1,200. 30 times 60 is 1,800. And so you're talking about 2,000. You're talking about 30. Thank you, 30 hours a month if I just responded for 1 minute. But some of those questions I would have to do research on. So say 2 minutes on average for each thing. That would be 60 hours a month of my time given up for some clown on YouTube with no subscriber base, doesn't push the like button, doesn't have me as a preferred channel, never shared any of my videos. Here's for you, okay? There's for you. This is for you, that you think that I should spend time addressing your issues. I don't, and I want you, if you fit into that category, I want you to unsubscribe to my channel so I don't even have to read your comments or your questions. Very good, Daisy. Thank you. Now, so if you're a member of my Patreon account, you get a higher price. If you're a member of my Patreon account and ask me any question in any venue in Patreon, I take all the time necessary to deal with it. Last week, I sent out a notice to the people of my Patreon account. Daisy and I are free Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night to call any number in America. Okay. Only 4 people responded asking me, giving me their phone number, and I called those 4 people. Okay. But if 17 people asked me to call them, I would have called all 17. That's one benefit of being a member of my Patreon account. Another thing I want to discuss with you is the bell. Being that Google is censoring me to the max now, and I'll explain it differently. Well, how many times are you going to ask me that question, Chris? You're going to ask me that question. You've asked it 3 times. Do you think I didn't read it 3 times? That's the 3rd time. What does it mean is what I asked you before. Now, you always leave comments in the chat window. Now, I asked you before, if you were paying attention, what does it mean? Pawn to king 4. If you don't answer that question, and if you don't answer it right now, I'm going to remove you from the chat permanently. Okay. The next time you leave a comment, and it's not the answer, your ancient history. Okay, so the top 5 videos that I used to have from 2012 to 2000 and, well, let's just say 2014 to 2015, the top 5 videos earned $125 a month, every month for 3 years. Those same top 5 videos now get twice as many views, and those top 5 videos combined earned income is 17 cents. That's how much YouTube is censoring my views and my monetary earnings. So if you think I owe you something, that I have to answer your comments, you're wrong about that. I could care less about you and your needs to have comments answered. When you send me some kind of nonsense, please check out my channel. And I go to your channel and you have 4 uploads or 5 uploads and they're 12 seconds long, I just block you. Okay? Don't send me that kind of garbage. It takes time to go to your channel to take a look. And the only reason I go to your channel to see if you have ever liked any of my videos, if I'm a preferred a preferred channel on your channel. If I'm not a preferred channel on your channel, if I don't show up as one of your preferred channels, if I don't see my videos on your page as liked videos, and I don't see that you have valid video content, I just go up to the top right and block it. I don't really need the subscribers. I get a few hundred subscribers a month. In a couple of years, I'll have 40,000 subscribers based on the rate that YouTube is allowing me to grow. Doesn't matter to me. Okay, if I did this for YouTube money, I'd have to stop making videos. But my Patreon members, thanks for that. Yeah, that's great. Cold. I have cold water now. My Patreon members are subsidizing monies that actually, all the money that I collect on Patreon and YouTube combined doesn't allow me to make $1 an hour for the time I put into creating the videos and processing the videos and making the videos and titling the videos and tagging. I earn less than $1 an hour. Okay, for the time it takes me to read the comments, answer some of the comments, do my things with the people on Patreon, giving them personal information that they need to get to the Philippines, to find shipping companies, to move their stuff from the Philippines. I do all that research for them. I do all that research for my Patreon members, and and I'm happy to do it. But the monies that I earn on Patreon on YouTube is about less than $1 an hour. Yeah, I got to remember, I have to pay for electric, for the fan, I pay for the computer, internet service, I pay for hard drives to store the old videos on. I have 5 hard drives right in front of me, external. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 of these little bad boys. 5 of them. Okay? I have 5 external hard drives. 2 gigs each. I pay for that. Okay? So, you people that want me to answer questions or check out your channel or give you a... There's only one person on YouTube whose channel I highly recommend. And that's a native Filipina, and she runs a channel called Village People Philippines. She's the best Philippines blogger in the Philippines, native Philippines blogger, in my opinion. She's real smart, really smart. Very, 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 really smart. She has a steady hand on her camera, and she discusses real-life topics. And she goes where no other blogger goes, because she was born and raised in Cebu. She's a local, okay? Village People Philippines. The only channel I'll ever recommend, okay? Although, I watched the video from Ricky this morning. Very well thought out, very well laid out on how much money should you tip in the Philippines. I thought it was a great video, okay? There are videos and bloggers that I like their videos of, but in general, I'll only recommend somebody who has the same interests in me. I already know how to tip in the Philippines, but his video was well laid out and well thought out, well planned and well spoken. So, but the Village People, every one of her videos are the same. They're all done, and Ricky's videos are also done professionally also. But it's a different kind of a mindset than for me. That I can't relate to a lot of things that he does, but he does like makes a nice video, well-spoken, intelligent guy. Village People, well-spoken, intelligent woman. But her channel I would recommend because you're going to get an understanding of the real Philippines from a real Filipina. What can I say? Okay, then, we are Daisy. Daisy's gone. Mm-hmm. She is a good cook. Honey, come on over here. That is delicious. Mm-hmm.
Okay, salamat.
What's up, Bayet? Okay, what's up, Bayet? Want to teach them a word? I'll teach you the new word. Word of the week. Bota. Bota. Okay, but we're going to say the first word, buta. It means, okay, buta angugma. Love is blind. Yeah? Angugma buta. Angugma buta. It means love is blind. That would mean that when I look at Daisy, I can't see her. I only see the love between us. Because otherwise, she hurts my eyes. Because she is my guapa cat. She's guapa. I am my oath. I had that ballot reversed. So thanks for watching our live stream, and I hope that you enjoyed it. Everything I said is true about philosophy, about life after death, about being slashed open. And no one asked to see the scar on my back, so I didn't show it to you. But it's there. December 15th, 1970. Never forget that day. So thanks for watching, and I'm Ping Permy from Michael Fazio.
And this is me.
In the Philippines, baby. And now we're going to start to participate. We have the fiesta is Ugma, yeah, tomorrow?
I think so.
Yeah, there's a big fiesta here in Bohol. Big fiesta. Big doings. Everybody cooks. Everybody walks from one house to another like it was in the 50s and 60s in America. You just, I didn't believe it when I first got it. You just walk into somebody's house, whether you bring a gift, food, or money, you just walk into that one night. You just walk into the house and say hello and have something to eat. Pretty interesting in that regards, that you could just walk into anybody's house on the block and have food. I can. A lot of the other foreigners can't do that, but I don't think we're going to do that. We're just going to go to two people at most, and those I've been going to one of those two people's houses for 3 years, and the other one we went to twice. So we're probably only going to visit two people, and but it's a big day here in the Philippines. Fiesta. What's it called?
Fiesta.
Any special person, God, deity, St. Jude, St. Christopher, anything like that?
St. Augustine.
St. Augustine. Yeah, that's what I want. So which is the screwdriver that's flat? What's the name of that? Two screwdrivers. You have the flat screwdriver and star. Like you. My shining star. God day to everybody. I'm Ping Permy. And remember those three things, ladies and gentlemen. Always remember those three things. Bye-bye for now. Crazy.